So welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on from which part of the globe you are joining. You have joined the session here, and I'm Nishant Shukla, your host and speaker for this webinar. I welcome all of you on behalf of Edureka to this Path to PMP webinar. So this is a series that we have Path to PMP, and this is a second webinar in the same series where we are going to talk about project integration management, simplifying the project integration management, understand in a layman's format what is integration and how it works, and what are the factors we need to consider with respect to the PMP exam preparation. Before we move ahead, a very quick introduction of myself. I'm Nishant Shukla, as I mentioned, and I come from a technology background, techie background. I started my career as a techie, and come with more than 2 decades of experience from the project, program, and portfolio management. Worked across various domains, and along with my job, I started doing trainings as well. It's been 11 years in training, and I actually have lost count how many people I have trained, but I'm assuming that there would be more than 7,000 or maybe 8,000 also. I have more than 11,000 hours of training experience. I conduct training on various topics across the globe, and now I'm associated with Edureka. And with this, very quickly, we are moving on to the agenda slide here because we have just 1 hour and we have to cover a lot many things here. So I have kept this agenda very simple, short, and crisp. The purpose is to understand, to decode the project integration management, what exactly it is and what it takes to uh, manage the integration or bring it in our control, understanding it from the examination point of PMP examination point of view also, and explore the logical flow of processes in project integration management. Theory is always very difficult to understand, very difficult to grasp, so I have kept minimum of text in the slides and most of the things are in graphical representation. We'll understand what is the significance of charter, how we can create a project management plan, and also go through the overall process flow of project integration management. Starting with our first slide, why manage integration? What is the purpose behind this project integration management? So integration, as the name suggests, integration means consolidating, integrating, collating the subsidiary project management plans. And how that consolidation or integration helps? It helps project manager and also the key stakeholder to understand the overall big picture and take decisions around it. Decision making is very important, and project integration management plays a major role in helping project team and project manager take decisions and communicating the key project information to top management or the key stakeholders, senior stakeholders, including customer as well. So when I talk about this consolidation or integration of what? Those who are familiar with the project management, those who have gone through the PMBOK guide, they know that there are constraints in the project, competing factors, and the key competing factors are your scope, time, cost, and quality. If any of the element is disturbed here, you will not be able to get a perfect triangle here. So what you see on the screen is called as balanced triple constraint. So the purpose of the project integration management is it can give a complete overview of the project, that how these elements, different constraints or components of the project are going along, how we are making progress on that. Because if there is a deviation in scope, it may impact your time, it may impact your cost, it may impact your quality. If there is any deviation on the cost part, it may impact your scope, time, quality, and other elements also. I have not shown here the risk, your HR, budgeting, and other constraints as well, but those are also the key constraints here. So with this information, consolidated information, project manager will be able to see the big picture. So if there is a small component, a small deliverable which is delayed or which has missed the timeline, how this small deviation or delay at a small level is going to impact the overall project. That is where project integration management will help the project manager in taking some preventive or corrective action, and also understanding how the future looks like. And let's have an overview of the project integration management. So those who are familiar with the PMBOK guide, 5th edition of PMBOK guide, or any of the earlier edition, they also know that there are 5 process groups or domains as mentioned in the PMBOK guide 5th edition. That is initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. So those people who have some basic questions like what is PMP, what is PMBOK guide, what is the latest edition, when the new edition is going to come out, what are the prerequisites for the examination. If you have those questions, I would suggest and request you to go and check out the first webinar of Path to PMP series where I answered all those questions. You can log on to webinar to Edureka, www.edureka.co, and go to the blog section where you'll be able to see the recording, or alternatively you can find that Path to PMP on YouTube as well. In case if you have any difficulty or any challenges in finding that video, you can reach out to our team, you reach out to sales team or support team here, and we will be happy to assist you in that. Okay, and it's a 1 hour video, now 1 hour webinar, not a very long one, and it will keep your interest very high. So I just suggest you to go through that webinar also. Now project integration management is a process, is actually the only process, an only knowledge area which has processes in all the domains or all the process groups here. In initiating, it has developed project charter. So develop project charter is a process where the charter will be created, and charter is basically a document which will authorize the commencement of a project in an organization. And once the charter is released, then the project manager will become the captain of the ship and the project will get kick-started. Next is develop project management plan, which is in the planning group where all the subsidiary project plans are created and integrated into one project management plan. For your reference, you can also call it as a master project management plan. And this will have all the work that is needed to be done. Whatever happens in the project management in the project must be documented here. Once the plan is ready, you have the plan, and then the project will move to the executing phase where project manager will lead the project team by directing and managing the project work during executing process group. Okay. Whatever work is being done in executing process group, project manager will have to ensure that it is as per plan. Not only project manager, but I would say the word project team will have to ensure that all the work is as per plan, and the team will do that together by reviewing all the work which is being done in monitoring and controlling process. So the key output of this process will be a decision if we need any corrective or preventive action. So you do sort of variance analysis here. During the executing, the team will do the work and we will get the work result. Those work result will be compared with what was planned, and if there are any deviation, the team will take a decision whether to make some corrections or take some preventive actions or not. And once all the deliverables of the project are completed, then the project will move into the closing phase where all the deliverables for which were supposed to get delivered in the project will be reviewed. We will have the list of all the accepted deliverables, and project manager along with the key stakeholders and the key team will review whether the objective for which the project was undertaken have been achieved or not, have been fulfilled or not, and document the lessons learned. So that is a overview of your total processes of project integration management. Now let us talk about the role of project manager in all these processes. During the project charter stage, project manager will work with the sponsor to populate the details in the charter, and once it is approved by the senior management, sponsor will sign off on the charter authorizing the project and authorizing the project manager to kickstart and manage the project. And after that, project manager will be able to utilize the resources of the organization. Remember, important point from the examination point of view, project manager is not the one who will release the charter, but it is a project sponsor who will give the sign off on the charter. Okay, I got a message that there is no audio. Is it the problem with everyone? Can you hear me? Can you please confirm me on the chat window? Okay, okay, fine. Okay, Rory, not an issue. Okay. Once the charter is completed, then it moves to your planning process, where project manager will have to ensure that everything that is going to happen throughout the project gets documented and it is included in the plan. It is not the project manager who will create the plan, but it is a project team. Different people from the project team will work on the different subset of the plan concurrently, and project manager will have to oversee and ensure that everything that is needed to be done is documented, and whatever is not documented, that is not something that the team is going to do. We are going to do a deep dive into this one. Okay. Okay, at this point I have one question here from Shanti. Is the project charter approved only by the sponsor? Yes, other stakeholders may be involved, and when I'm talking about the stakeholders at the charter approval stage, it will be the senior stakeholders, senior management of the organization. It can be your, sometime it can be the PMO also. PMO, in case if the PMO is an authoritative role in your organization, that PMO also can be there. But only one person will give you the sign off, and that person will be called as project sponsor. When we come to this charter, we will understand this in detail, that what are the different entities there. Other stakeholders may be involved during the formation or creation of the project charter, like what is the high level work that is needed to be done. We will discuss this in detail in the next slide. Okay, next means after a few slides. Okay, so once the plan is done, now the project manager will have to direct and lead the team during the executing phase. And once the work gets started, project manager will have to ensure the team is doing the work as per plan, and the team is in their high spirit, motivated, and they understand what is expected from them, what is to be done. As the team does the work, they will have work results. So the project manager will have to monitor and control the work results, and the PM will have to keep looking for the potential problems and resolve those potential problems. PM will also have to look out for the changes, deviations, and need to take the appropriate corrective or preventive actions to bring it back on track, back as per plan. Project manager will also have to look out for the changes, analyze the changes, understand their impact, and ensure that all the changes are in control. I hope all of you understand the difference in the controlled changes and uncontrolled changes. Can you quickly type in the chat window, what do you understand by controlled and uncontrolled changes? Or what is the difference in controlled and uncontrolled changes? This is very important point from the PMP examination perspective, and also taking care of it in the real life scenario. I'm waiting here. Can you please type in the chat window? Okay, I'll repeat the question. What do you think is the difference in controlled and uncontrolled changes? Controlled is approved, yes. In scope and out of scope. Uncontrolled, not yet approved. Okay. And controlled with expected results, uncontrolled results with controlled changes approved by CCB. Okay, I got this correct answer from Nikhil. Control changes are approved via change control board. Yes, Yeshwant said control changes are approved with the minimum risk. Shanti said control changes which, one second. Yes, control changes approved by the change control board or not yet approved. Okay, so I am going to coming to that example, Mr. Murli. I'll just answer this. Control changes are those changes which were approved and implemented following the change control process of the organization. And uncontrolled changes are those changes which were implemented without following the process. For example, suppose you are the project manager and you have team of 50 people, and you have a person who is a junior most engineer. He is working on the client side. Okay, one fine day, the client manager goes to the junior engineer and he says, hey, I want you to make some quick changes in the work that you're doing because my requirement has slightly changed, and I promise you I will take care of the configuration, everything. I will talk to the PM, I will talk to everyone needed, but I need this change immediately for my presentation with my boss. The junior engineer will probably be scared, or he may get influenced by the authority of the client manager. He goes ahead and make the changes in the scope, no matter how small of or insignificant it looks right now, but it may have severe impact later on. He made the change without informing anyone or without taking approval from anyone. And next day, when the project manager, when you are looking at the work done, you realize that the resource did something which was not a part of the plan, and now he is lost. He is looking for the source of that change and he has no idea how it happened, and he need to analyze how it is going to impact the other components of the project. But the change is already done, it has already been presented to the customer, and now project manager will have to find a solution for the situation. So this is an uncontrolled change. So project manager will have to always keep on looking out for uncontrolled changes. Controlled changes are those where the formal requests come to the respective person of the project team. That person or maybe the project manager review the request, what is the source of it, why we need to implement the change, what will happen if you don't implement the change, what will be the impact of this change on other project elements like your time, cost, quality, HR, risk, and other, and so on. And once everything, all the impact is analyzed, it will then go to the change control board, which will review the request, and then they will take a call whether to approve or reject the change request. Another important point to understand here. Yes. So Mr. V. Chandrasekhar is saying control changes come through CCB. Correct. Yes. Control changes come through change control board. All the changes which were reviewed and approved by the change control board following the process are called as control changes. Okay. And Nikhil is saying uncontrolled changes. So correction required for incorrectly implemented change due to any reasons. No, we will not call it as a correction required for the incorrectly implemented change due to any reason. No, for from the PMP perspective, simple way, changes which were implemented following the process and approval of the change control board are the control changes, and the changes where process was not followed is the uncontrolled change. Okay. No, Mr. Krishnamurthy, you do not have any issues in the slide. We are still at slide number 5. We will just move on to the next one. So this is about your change management. So in case of any deviation, in case of any changes in the result, project manager will have to ensure that the changes are identified, analyzed, and implemented following the process. And once all the deliverables are completed, project is done, and then PM will have to make sure that all the aspects of the projects are covered before delivering, and also ensuring that all the key findings and the lessons learned are documented for future reference, and that PM will do in 4.6, that is close project or phase process. Okay, so that was about the overall aspect of integration management, and also what role does a project manager plays into that. So theory is always difficult to understand, and I always rely on the graphical to understand how it happens. So to understand this in a easy fashion, and also review how these processes are linked to each other, I am taking the help of Deming cycle. I'm sure all of you have seen this Deming cycle. You're aware of the Deming cycle. What it says, I mean, this is basically a management approach, a management method used in the business for controlled and continuous improvement of product and processes. Okay. uh, Plan is the area where you set the objective, you identify the processes, you set the process boundaries, you set the expectation and what is needed to be done. Do is where you implement that plan, execute the processes, and deliver the results. Once you have the result, you need to check it. So check is where you study the results, you compare them against the expected results or the plan that you had. Okay, you look for deviations, you look for element of change and collect information that is needed for the next step. The next step here is act. So if you found any deviation, or if you find you know any change of plan which requires some corrective or preventive action, then project manager need to act on that. So project team under the guidance from the project manager need to do an analysis of what has changed, what has not worked, why it did not work, and what is needed to bring the plan or bring the work back on the track, back on the plan. Okay, they will look at the impact of the deviation on your scope, time, cost, risk, quality, and other factors and resources as well. And once all the uh, data or the decision points are identified, then the decision will be taken and the project will move to the next step. So when we move to the next step, we will implement that decision, implement those corrective actions during the next cycle. So this is a very simplified Deming cycle, and now let us see how it relates to our processes from project integration management. So I made small changes to that. I added two more processes here, that is change and close. Okay, let us now look at it from the PM perspective. So I hope it is clear to everyone up to this point. And if there are any questions, please feel free to ask, and then I can move to the next topic. Okay, so let's look at this, the updated or the revised cycle that we have. Plan remains the same as plan, but the name will change to your develop project management plan. So develop project management plan is a process where we will develop the plan, create that plan, consolidate all the subsidiary plans, and do will become your direct and managed project work where we execute the plan. Check gets replaced with monitoring and controlling project work where we monitor the work and we take the decisions in the controlled environment, or we control the deviations during act. So act is where the project team and project manager will have to take some decision that what is to be done. Do we need to take any corrective actions? Do we need to take any preventive actions? They will identify the root cause of that. They'll find out what are the factors which are influencing that deviation, or sorry, that are causing the deviation, and then they will take the corrective or preventive actions to influence those factors which are responsible for the deviation or change. But as per PMBOK guide, or as per the project management guidelines, the decision cannot be taken by the PM or the project team. That will be taken by a change control board during integrated change control process, which is here in the change. So change control board will look at the change, the requirement for the change, the need for the change. They will also see what will happen if the changes are not implemented. They'll also analyze what is the impact of change. Let's say if the customer is asking for a small change in scope, how that small change in scope is going to impact your cost, quality, schedule, risk, and other components of the project. Decision will be taken. If the change request is rejected, it will simply be nullified here. Nothing will happen. The request will simply die here. Okay. But if the request is approved, then the plan will be updated, and that approved change request will be taken to direct and manage project work, where the changes will be implemented and the cycle will go on as it is, keep on going. It will keep on going until all the work in the project is completed, and once all the work and deliverables are completed, then it will go to the close project or phase process, where project manager will review it with all the key stakeholders, senior stakeholders, that all the deliverables are completed and accepted by the customer, and the project has fulfilled its objective, and they will document the lessons learned and inform or do a formal notification to all the stakeholder that the service, the product, service, or result for which the project was undertaken has been transitioned. Okay, and I can see some hands raised here. Let me just check. Okay, I think they're all hands are down now. Okay. So this is a simplified PM process here, and then I have linked it to Deming cycle for the better understanding. I hope it is clear to everyone. If you have any question, please let me know. And if there are no questions, let us move to the next slide here. So next slide is, let's have a quick review of what exactly your project charter is. So the process in question is develop project charter, and the key output of this process is project charter. I will not get into the nitty-gritties of the process. I will not talk about what all this charter will contain, but I will give you an overview of that, understanding of that. So project charter is an agreement between the senior management of the company, of the performing organization, and project team. Senior management of the performing organization is represented by project sponsor, and project team will of course have project manager. So this charter is an agreement between the senior management and the project team, and project sponsor is a interface between these two entities. Okay. Project charter, project sponsor may or may not take help of project manager in developing the charter, but it will always and always be signed off and approved by the project sponsor. It can be project sponsor, or it can be a portfolio steering committee also. Okay, so that is the purpose of it. And most important thing is, this charter, project charter, must not be shared with the customer, because project charter will contain your business objective, your justification why you're doing this project. Suppose there is a business need, you need to do this project. Why we need to do this project? Because we need to retain that customer. So your company might not be saving any money in this one, but you are looking at the long-term objective that in future we are going to get probably 20% or 30% of the total outsourcing work of the customer. That can be your objective, and that objective will be the justification also for doing this project at probably break even, no profit or no loss. If the customer comes to know about this, it may impact your relationship with that customer, or the customer may take it for the granted and customer may exploit that situation for you. Okay, that is just a very small example to make you understand why charter must never be shared with the external customer. If you are doing it for the internal customer, internal means you are a project team in one vertical and you're doing this project for some other vertical of the same organization, then fine, you go ahead and share that charter with the internal customer, but never ever with the external customer. There is a question here from Mr. V. Chandra. Project charter and scope statement of work are same? No, they are not same. SOW is a component of project charter. We call it as a project statement of work. Okay, project statement of work means it will the high level description of the project, that what work you are targeting to undertake during this project. And there is a question from Krishnan. Does budget get mentioned in this project charter? You may or you may not, but you will have the rough order of magnitude here. You may have the rough order of magnitude here, that the overall project budget must not exceed $1 million. If needed, it is subjective. If needed, you can give this guidance to the team here, that whatever you do must be done within $1 million. You can set the constraints, you can set the boundaries also here. Sometime instead of budget, you can also mention or specify that this project must get over within 3 months time. Let's say the project is being undertaken to release a product in the market before your competitor does. Your competitor is planning to launch a new product on 1st of December, and you want to beat that competition to retain that number one position in the industry, in the market. So you can set the guideline that no matter what happened, the project must get over on 31st October, so we can launch it on 1st of November. You can set those boundaries in the project charter. Okay, so that is about the charter here. And if you have any question on the charter, again, you can just type in the chat window. And when you go and study the develop project charter process, you will understand what all are the components of project charter and how we derive to those information which is there in the project charter. Okay. With this, now we move to the next slide, which is very interesting here and quite understanding. So this slide will tell you how the plan is created, what is the significance of this different processes here, and how they from where they receive the inputs to these processes. And there is a question from Rory here. Project charter is the responsibility of the sponsor. Yes, project charter is the responsibility of the sponsor. Project manager may or may not help project sponsor in doing that, but ultimately it is a project sponsor's responsibility. So let us have a complete overview of this processes here. So once the project is kick-started, the very first process in the project is develop project charter. In any project, this is going to be the first process, and the output of this process is going to be project charter. Project charter, as I told you, is an agreement between the senior management and the project manager. And once the charter is released and signed off, project manager will become the captain of the ship, and he will start leading and directing the team in developing the subsidiary or project management plans. When we say subsidiary project management plans, it means your change management plan, requirement configuration, scope baseline, scope management plan, quality plan, process improvement, HR, risk, communication, and so on. So when we go refer to the PMBOK guide, there are 10 knowledge areas. Project integration management is one of those 10 knowledge areas. So you will develop all the 9 subsidiary project management plans. On top of that, you will have configuration management plan, change management plan. You may also come up with your process improvement plan if needed. Once all these subsidiary process management plans and your baselines are created, then you will take all of them to this process called develop project management plan, which is in the planning process group. Okay. All this will be consolidated, integrated to come up with a project management plan. And once a plan is ready, then it goes to your execution, that is under direct and manage project work, where the project manager will lead and direct the team to do the work whatever is planned in your project management plan. Okay. And as the team start doing the work, we will have work results. Work results are technically called as deliverables, and along with the deliverables you will also have work performance data. So the work performance data is a raw data associated with the deliverable. For example, we completed one deliverable, and the associated data for that deliverable will be it took 7 days to complete that deliverable, and we spent $200 in doing that work or completing that deliverable. So this data is called as work performance data. That work performance data and the deliverables now will be taken to these subsidiary knowledge areas, or the processes, or the processes from monitoring and controlling process group for each of these respective knowledge area. For example, project scope management. Project scope management will have one process in your monitoring and controlling process group, that is control scope. Project schedule where time management will have control schedule. Project cost management will have control cost. So what we do is we take this work performance data to each of the respective process, and we will compare, or we will check for the deviation with respect to that specific element of the project. So when I take the deliverable and the work performance data to control scope, I check whether the progress is as per plan or not. At some point of time, I was supposed to complete 100% of work. Was it done? Is it 100% complete? What is the progress I have made? We will take it to control schedule, where we will compare the raw data, that is work performance data, with what was planned. So the raw data says 7 days, and when we compare it, when we look into the planning, to the plan, it says it was supposed to get over in 5 days time. When we do the variance analysis with respect to schedule in control schedule process, we realize that we have a deviation of 2 days. We will take this work performance data to control cost, where we will do the earned value management, earned value analysis, and we'll compare, are we spending right or not. Suppose the plan for that deliverable was to spend $175, and we have ended up spending $200. Okay, so there is a deviation again. Similarly, we will look at control quality, control communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholder processes. We will look at that specific, that respective element of the project, and check how that project is, or how the work is going on. When we process that data, when we analyze that data for each respective knowledge area, what we get is a work performance information. Work performance information is a analyzed raw data. Okay. Analyzed raw data is, analyzed data is, so the 7 days was compared with the plan, and that gave us information that there is a negative duration variance of 2 days. Okay. When we compare this actual $200 with what was planned, we realize that there was a deviation of $25. We are overspending by $25. This is the analyzed data. Okay. So this data will be taken to the process in project integration management, which is monitoring and controlling project work. Now what we will do is we will check that deviation of 2 days and for a deliverable, how this deviation is going to impact our overall project, how it is going to impact on the time, cost, quality, risk, resources, or any other element. We will also check what is our forecast based on this. Let's say you are supposed to complete a milestone, achieve a milestone on 30th of June. With this progress, with the deviation of 2 days, will we be able to complete or achieve that milestone on 30th June or not? That is linked to the statement on the first slide, where I said helping project manager to look at the big picture. Okay. Project team, or a small section or subset of the project team who is working on just one small module of the project, for them it may be just a delay of 1 day. But when the project manager looks at the bigger picture, he will realize that this delay of 1 day is going to set the entire project off the schedule. It may have some severe consequences later on, and then project manager will have to, and the team will have to take a decision what is to be done. So this information will then be consolidated again, and PM will publish your work performance reports. So work performance reports are the electronically published data about the project. It can be your dashboard, it can be your S-curve, it can be your some reporting on the SharePoint or automated project management, enterprise project management tool, SharePoint, and the project manager and the team will prepare your dashboard, and the progress will be updated against the plan and the baseline. Okay. If needed, If needed, PM can take some actions there, and some of the components may go for rework as well. As you can see here in the slide, I have connected a dotted line here to direct and manage project work. So refer it to your Deming cycle, PDCA, plan, do, check, act. Okay, I can see there are some hands raised, but I cannot see the name of who has raised the hand, but I will rely on the question window here. If you have any question, please type it out and I will be happy and glad to answer those questions here. Okay, so what happens here is once the results are out and once the project manager has a bigger picture, PM will take a call whether it requires any corrections or any changes in the plan or in the work or not, corrective or preventive action. So that corrective and preventive action, if there are any change requests, deviation will go to your change control process. It will be documented formally in a change request, which will go to your integrated change control process, where the change control board will review those requests. Okay, I can see some question here. Let me just answer that question from the Krishnan. In arriving work breakdown plan, having functional and technical team is must. That is completely subjective, Mr. Krishnan. Absolutely subjective. Sometimes you may have the techno-functional people also. Sometimes you may not require any functional but only technical people. So it is subjective. But from my experience, if it is a typical IT project or any other project, you need to have some functional consultant, functional people, you need to have some technical people as well. Okay, but there is a high element of subjectivity there. So the change request can arise or can be raised from these control scope, control schedule, control cost processes, or there may be a situation where all these processes are giving you the correct output. They are showing no deviation here, but when you consolidate that in your monitoring and controlling project work, when you publish your work performance reports, you realize that, right now the situation is in control, but if certain factors are not uh, taken into consideration, there may be some deviation in future. For example, everything is right now planned, everything is as per track, but when it goes to your risk, where one of the output we get here is that some of the key resources have resigned and they will be here in the team for 2 months, but after 2 months who will going to do the work, we don't know, because those people are moving out. Right now the project is in control, but in future we may have some problem. So what we need to do is we need to immediately hire new resources. We need to start the onboarding process of the new resources. This may or may not impact your cost. If it is going to impact your cost, then you will have to raise a change request, and that change request will have all the reasons and justification for the request, which will then go to your change control board, and then change control board will decide what is to be done. Okay, I can see a hand raised by Mr. Yashwant. Mr. Yashwant, you have any question, please type in here in the chat window, because you all are muted by the organizer here. Okay, so once that factors and areas are identified, then the change request can be raised from your monitoring and controlling project work process also, which will again go to change control board, where it will be reviewed by the CCB and appropriate decision will be taken. And once the request is approved, then that request, you can see the output going from here, and it is going to your develop project management plan. It means that changes will be updated into the plan, and the changes will be implemented in direct and managed project work if it requires any rework, or maybe for the next cycle of the next deliverable. Okay, this is this cycle will be repeated until all the deliverables are completed. And once all the deliverables are completed, then the project will move to your close project or phase process, where the project manager will review all the deliverables, and they will ensure that the requirement of the customer has been fulfilled, and the customer will be, all the stakeholders will be formally notified that the project is completed, and the project manager and team will document the lessons learned. This documentation of lessons learned is very, very important, because this information will be helpful for you to plan the next project. Whatever did not work in this project, if you already have insight into that, for the next project you will take care of that proactively. So that is a logical sequence, a very high level sequence of your uh, overall processes of project integration management. Okay, so I hope it is clear to everyone. If you have any questions, I'm waiting here. Please type in your question and I'll be glad to answer those questions. Okay, fine. Let's keep moving to the next, and I'll look forward for the questions here. And that is all I had for the project integration management, because the intent is not to take you or not to go through the entire processes, because the entire process is a very time taking. We require approximately 2.5 hours to go through all the components of that project integration management. So there is a question from Rory here. Besides the total of all subsidiary plans, does a PM plan contains anything else? Yes, it may contains lot of other things as well. I would suggest you go to page number 78 of PMBOK guide, which will have a list of all the documents, all the components of a project management plan. This list again is not limited to whatever you see here. I will take you back to the slide where I showed this PM plan here. Yes, this list is not just limited to these components. So we have pretty much everything: your change management plan, requirement management plan, configuration management plan, process management plan. You may have some additional planning components as well here. Uh, Generally, we have covered everything in this one, but you may add more things as well. PMI gives you flexibility in doing that. Okay. Sharad Bachu has a question. How do we define project integration management briefly? Project integration management is a high level knowledge area which will have where all the components of the project will be integrated, unified, which will give us a complete overview of the project. For example, if you talk about the project scope management, it talks only about the scope element of the project. If you talk about the project scope cost management, it talks about the cost element of the project. But when we talk about the project integration management, we are talking about the overall project, how it is progressing, how it is being planned. And this is a process where we will unify all the subsidiary components of the project, which is visible in this slide as well. You can see it is a consolidation of all subsidiary plans, and it is also the consolidation of output from the control processes of all the subsidiary project management areas. Okay. So this is a very brief description in a layman's language of your project integration management. I hope it is clear to you, Mr. Sharath. Okay, great. And there is a question from Shanti. You have already scheduled for 13th June batch for PMP preparation, where I can get access to the 5 full-length mock test. My exam is less than a week, and I would like to start taking these tests. Shanti, yes, I have seen your interaction. So what you can do is I will immediately check with the team and make sure that you have the access to all these 5 full-length mock tests. In case if you have any question, you get in touch with the sales team. They will connect you with me, and I will be glad to assist you and give you a good insight and good overview of these processes. After you do this 2-day session, you can set up a time probably on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday of your convenience, and we can connect for 1 or 2 hours, where I will be glad to answer all your doubts, answer questions and clarify all the doubts. And Sharad Babu has a question: what does WPD and WPI stand for? WPD stands for Work Performance Data, and WPI stands for Work Performance Information. Okay. Uh, Mridul, there is a loss of sound. I'm sorry for this thing, but this might be some problem with the internet, maybe on your side as well. In case if anyone else has any issues, please ping me and I'll check it here. Okay. Krishnan has a question: in developing PM plan, who all should we take on board or consider before arriving at a meaningful plan? I would, from my experience, I will say that you need not to include the entire team, only the senior project team members. For example, uh, if you come from IT, if you come from the programming or development side, you may have a team of 30 programmers in your project. You need not to include all those 30 programmers, but you may want to take input from your team lead there. Okay. Again, this is subjective, but ideally it should be the senior team members, not each and everyone. Okay. And Rory has a question: are the control processes inputs to monitor and control project work process, or are they included within it in aggregate? No, they are the different processes. They are the separate processes, individual processes, which will give an output of work performance information, and that output will be taken to monitor and control project work. So these are individual processes. Control scope is an individual process, control schedule is an individual process, and so on. Okay. And another question from Rory regarding the previous question about software development and lead team member participation. How does that translate to Scrum? Rory, I would suggest that you go through the first webinar of this series, where I talk about the agile practice and the traditional project management. But to answer your question here, when you talk about the Scrum, it means at every stage you will incorporate the input and feedback from all the key stakeholders of the project. That may include your customer as well. So you have planned for a sprint, or you have planned for an iteration. You identified some of the deliverable and the entire team is working on that. And once that part is done, it will then be taken to a forum, or it will be reviewed by all the stakeholder, where they will provide the input and feedback, and those feedback will be incorporated into the work that you need to do in the next iteration or next sprint. Okay. So there may not be the team leader there, or maybe some of the senior team members will be there, and the key person who is going to give you input is your customer or the senior stakeholders. Okay. It's a very brief answer to your question, but I would suggest you go through the first webinar of this series, which will clarify your doubt, and it will tell you what is the difference in the traditional waterfall project management, which is followed by PMBOK guide, and agile project management. Okay, thanks a lot. Any further questions? And let's go to the next slide here, how it works with Edureka. So when you take up the course here, you will have access to our LMS. The moment your payment is realized, you will get access to our learning management system, which will have all the mock tests and mock questions here. So Edureka provides you live and interactive or online class. We are nowhere into the physical classroom session. The advantage of going for a virtual and the live classes, the sessions are recorded and you get lifetime access to the class recordings. Okay. A lot of people, when they join the PMP session, PMP exam preparation workshop, they are full of enthusiasm that I am going to clear this in next 2 months time, or 3 months time, or 15 days time. I will go for the examination. But suppose after the training there is a project or some urgent work for which you will not be able to prepare for the study. There is a gap of 6 months time. At end of 6 months, then you realize that you actually have forgotten half of the thing that you had learned. So this is where the advantage comes. You can get access to the recording here. And while preparing for the PMP examination, you can refer to each and every module and section of the classes there. In case if you still have any doubt and you want to go through some of the topics again, you are free to join any of our ongoing PMP batch for absolutely for free. We have 4 batches in a month on an average for the PMP, and Okay, so Rory has said that is what happened to me. Went and did this course, and yes, I'm sure Rory, these sessions you will be finding quite helpful. You can go to YouTube and you can look for some other sessions as well, and you can get in touch with the team to go through the access the recording or go through the training again. And you also have a 24 by 7 on demand technical support, and we have post course support as well. And we are rep Edureka is an rep that is registered education provider of PMI. If you go for any non rep, then your application is subject to be audited. Each and every application where the participant did the training through a non rep will be audited. So here the chances are just 20% here. And Rory said, okay, Sharat Bachu has a question here. How can I be a part of the next PMP batch? Sharat, all you need to do is drop a mail to sales@edureka.co. And there are some offers running on right now. If you enroll fast, you will be able to avail those offers right now immediately. Okay, I can spare, you can drop a mail to sales@edureka.co, and you will get all the information about all the offers going on. You can alternatively go to the website and you can select the offer from there as well. Okay, you are registered, but I never miss a good webinar. Rory, thanks a lot. I hope you attended my previous webinars as well. And for information of for all, I do a PMP refresher once in a month, and that is a extended session. It's a 6-hour long session where we do a complete 360-degree overview of the PMBOK guide, where we go through each and every knowledge area, and we provide you 24 by 7 support here, on demand technical support. If any point of time, if you have any question, any query, you can just get in touch with the team, and it will be resolved in a within a time frame which will be given to you. We will provide you assistance in filling up the application form as well, and I am always there to help you out. I am associated with Edureka. I had the certification business here, and I'm also a certified PMP, and I do a lot of PMP trainings as well. Please feel free to get in touch with me for any question that you have, and please check out the website for offers that are running on and take advantage of those offers. You can enroll now and you can attend the batch anytime you want. Suppose you enroll for the next week batch, but at the last moment you have any change of plan, you can, without hassle, you can reschedule it for next batch which is going to happen. Okay, Rory, thanks a lot. So Rory says, yes, I did. I did the refresher, is the best, and I recommend it to all. Thanks a lot, Rory, for your kind words and appreciation. And I am always there to help you and assist you. With this, we come to the end of this hour, and I wish all of you a very good night, good evening, good day ahead, depending on from where you are. And with this, we will sign off here. Let me just take the last thing. Nidhi is saying, which date you will be taking 6-hour session? Please let me know. Nidhi, please get in touch with the team and we will keep you updated on the next session. I hope I was able to shed some light and add value to your existing knowledge of the project integration management. With this, I sign off and I wish all of you a very good luck and all the best for the PMP examination. Thank you. Bye-bye and good night.